I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who ripped off consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Kamala Harris coming out swinging as she took centre stage today.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings.
The VP has 122 million reasons to smile, a record amount of donations pouring in within 24 hours of Biden stepping down.
We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us.
Biden, still in isolation due to COVID, called in to her campaign event.
It's neutral.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
Harris, who now has the support of enough delegates to clinch the nomination, rallied supporters with the party's renewed optimism.
When we fight,
But there's plenty of fight in the Trump campaign, with newly minted running mate J.D. Vance attacking the Democrats' late switch.
The idea of selecting the Democrat Party's nominee because George Soros and Barack Obama and a couple of elite Democrats got in a smoke-filled room and decided to throw Joe Biden overboard, that is not how it works.
Wow, just watching the fake news, and they're doing their very best to turn dumb as a rock Kamala Harris from a totally failed and insignificant vice president into a future great president. No, it just doesn't work that way.
I think he's scared to death for a couple reasons. Trump is a bully, he's a coward, but he's always had trouble with strong women. So I think they're going to struggle immensely to run against her.
The fight's already turned nasty with a spike in false claims Harris is ineligible because her parents were born overseas. And then there's this gem from Trump ally Sebastian Gorka.
This woman, this disaster whose only qualification was having a vagina and the right skin color.
Mr. Massey, let me interrupt you. That's pretty unkind language about the Vice President. This is an accomplished lawyer and senior politician and the Vice President of your country. Do you wish to take back that rather sexist remark?
No.
So is the Trump camp as confident as it claims? Or are these attacks a sign they're worried?
I'm watching. I'm watching.
We are live from the lands of the cooler nation, and Jason Osborne was an advisor to Donald Trump in his 2016 presidential campaign and joins us now. How worried are you, or how worried are Republicans right now?
Honestly, I don't think Republicans are all that worried right now. I mean, I think you've got, it's enjoyable to watch this show from the opposite side. If you go back to 2016 in October, when everybody wanted Donald Trump out of the race, and so the Republicans were scared about whether Donald Trump could beat Hillary Clinton with all the scandals surrounding Donald Trump. And now Republicans are sitting back and watching the Democrats kind of implode. What you're seeing right now with Kamala Harris is a lot of public support for her, but it's only because Joe Biden is out of the race. And then you give it another week or so, and then people are going to start focusing on Kamala and her record and what she brings to the table. And I think everything will kind of settle down, and then we're in a head-to-head race.
Well, one key difference with the race now is that Kamala Harris is a woman. This election is taking place in the aftermath of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It's a very specific context. Democrats think that's going to galvanise the female vote, that they'll come out in numbers because of that, and that could influence the election. Do you think that's a worry for Trump?
You know, when you look at a presidential campaign in the United States, you look at how to get 270 electoral votes. And when you look at the map and you see the states where, you know, the abortion issue is really going to play a key role in the election, and it's predominantly split on the red states and the blue states. But when you narrow down to the states that Donald Trump lost this last election and that he had won in the previous election, the abortion issue kind of, it's up there in terms of intensity and getting the vote out. But I think at the end of the day, if the economy is where it is today, that's much better for Donald Trump than it is for Kamala, despite the fact that abortion may turn out more women than men.
There's been a lot of talk about how much Trump has changed since the assassination attempt, that he's more measured or more mellow. Do you think that's true?
There's a side to Donald Trump that a lot of people don't witness, because there's a live Donald Trump and then there's a behind the scenes Donald Trump. He is much more empathetic behind the scenes. at the convention last week, I had the opportunity to talk to him after he gave his speech. And you could see in his eyes, there was the realization how close he came to actually not even being there. And how he talked to a number of people, not only myself, but others around me. There was a certain, humbleness about him. And I don't know if that's going to translate out into, his campaign speeches or certainly debates. But you could definitely sense that he has dialed it back a little bit.
Until he gets on Twitter and he tweets, like after when Joe Biden pulled out of the race, he went on a bit of a tear and called him the worst president in history. So is it a bit hard to square that with the idea that Donald Trump has dialed back a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the biggest struggles in 2016 working on the campaign, is waking up every morning, because he tended to get up about, an hour or two before any of us on the campaign. And the first thing we would do was look at Twitter and figure out, oh God, what did our boss just say? And figure out how do we explain that throughout the day. And I think we all just kind of came to the realization that you got to let Trump be Trump. He's a showman. He feeds off of the energy in the crowd. The words that he puts out there, they don't really make a lot of sense sometimes. And so then you have to kind of parse through that and figure out what exactly it is that he means. But a lot of that I look at now is that's an effort to keep his base energized. And he's willing to risk a little bit in turning off, some voters. But for the most part, the folks that are against him because of those are going to be against him anyway.
Can't stop watching, can we? Wow. It's quite the reality show. Jason Osborne, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Does seem like there might slightly be a contest now.
Do you think that?
Well, it feels more like a contest than it did.
Because it's lively and...
I
Because
think
the opposition's alive.
Yeah.